I caught my wife with my brother. He smirked, until I said, I just sent the video to her. It was supposed to be a regular day. Nothing extraordinary, just another long shift at work followed by the comfort of returning home to my wife, Emma. But sometimes life takes a turn so sharp that it leaves you breathless. That was the day everything I thought I knew came crashing down. I wasn't feeling well that morning, a throbbing headache and a general sense of fatigue, but I pushed through my meetings, answered emails, and ran through endless presentations. By lunchtime, though, I couldn't ignore how drained I felt. I decided to call it a day and head home early. I didn't tell Emma because I didn't think it was necessary. She was probably at home watching one of her crime documentaries or tinkering with her never-ending list of Pinterest projects. When I arrived, the house was unusually quiet. Normally, Emma would greet me at the door, all smiles and warmth. That was one of the reasons I married her. She had this incredible way of making the mundane feel special. But that day, there was no sound of her footsteps, no smell of her signature lavender candle burning, just silence. I stepped inside, kicking off my shoes, and immediately noticed something odd. A jacket, my brother Liam's jacket, was draped over the back of the living room chair. My stomach tightened. What was Liam doing here in the middle of the day? Liam was charming and magnetic, but he had a knack for popping up uninvited. I assumed he had dropped by to borrow something or kill time. Still, something about the way the house felt made my skin crawl. Then I heard it, laughter. Emma's laugh, soft and melodic, coming from upstairs. It wasn't the kind of laugh she shared while watching TV. It was intimate, playful. My heart started to race. I hesitated for a moment, trying to convince myself that I was misreading the situation. Maybe they were watching something together, reminiscing about an old family story. I wanted to believe that so badly. But as I climbed the stairs, the laughter turned into muffled voices and then sounds I couldn't misinterpret. My head was spinning, my heart pounding in my chest. I stopped just outside the bedroom door, the scene playing out in my head before I even saw it. I opened the door slowly, quietly, not knowing what I was walking into but bracing myself for the worst. And there they were, Emma and Liam, tangled in each other's arms, right there in the bed we had shared for years. The air left my lungs. I didn't yell or make a scene. I just stood there, frozen. Liam turned his head, and when his eyes met mine, he didn't flinch. Instead, he smirked like he had won some twisted prize. My own brother. Something inside me clicked. I didn't explode in anger. I didn't scream. I pulled out my phone and said, I just sent your wife a video of you two. My voice was calm, eerily calm, but every word was a blade. The smirk vanished from Liam's face, replaced by panic. What did you do? He stammered, grabbing for his phone. Emma sat up, her face pale as a sheet, her mouth opening and closing like she was searching for words that wouldn't come. I didn't wait for an explanation. There was nothing to explain. I stepped back, watching as Liam frantically called Clara, his wife. I could hear her yelling through the phone, demanding answers. His voice cracked as he tried to explain himself, his charm useless for once. Clara wasn't buying it, and neither was I. Emma started to cry, reaching for me, saying it was a mistake, but I didn't even look at her. A mistake? A mistake is forgetting to lock the front door. This was a choice. I turned and walked out of the room, letting them both sit in their panic and guilt as I made my way downstairs. My head was spinning with a mix of anger, disbelief, and something else, relief. Relief that I wasn't the fool they thought I was. Relief that I had exposed their betrayal in a way they couldn't deny or twist. I sat in the living room, listening to the chaos unfolding upstairs as Liam tried to salvage what was left of his marriage. It's strange how calm I felt in those moments, like my emotions had shut down to protect me from the weight of what I'd just seen. I wasn't thinking about the years I'd spent with Emma or the bond one once thought I had with Liam. I was thinking about what came next, how I would take back control of my life and leave their betrayal behind me. When they finally came downstairs, their faces pale and full of dread, I simply looked at them and said, "Now let's talk about what's next." You'd think being a twin would mean having a built-in best friend for life. That's what people always told me when I was growing up. You and Liam must be inseparable, they'd say. I'd smile and nod because, honestly, what else could I do? The reality was far from the picturesque bond people imagined. From as early as I could remember, Liam and I were always compared. At first, it was harmless, who walked first, who talked first, but as we got older, those comparisons started to sting. I was the smart twin, the responsible one, the natural leader. Liam was the funny twin, the laid-back one, the wild card. At family gatherings, relatives would pat me on the back for my academic achievements and tell Liam, "Don't worry, you'll find your thing," as if being himself wasn't enough. The resentment started to build slowly, like water dripping into a glass. Liam would brush it off with jokes, but I could see it in his eyes, the frustration, the anger. When I won first place in a school science competition, he made sure to sabotage my presentation board the night before. When I started dating my first girlfriend in high school, he charmed her away within weeks. That was Liam's way of leveling the playing field. If he couldn't beat me, he'd take. As we got older, the competition became less direct but no less intense. I worked hard, got a good job, and built a stable life. Liam, on the other hand, drifted from one scheme to another, never quite finding his footing. He'd show up to family dinners with stories of grand plans, real estate ventures, tech startups, you name it. None of them ever panned out, and our parents would inevitably ask me to talk some sense into him. Family gatherings became predictable. Liam would show up late, flash his charming smile, and spend the night cracking jokes at my expense. Everyone laughed because Liam was funny, and I could take it. "It's just Liam being Liam," they'd say. But underneath the humor, I could feel the sharp edge of his words, the way he tried to chip away at the image I'd built. When I introduced Emma to the family, I could see the shift in Liam immediately. He turned on the charm as he always did, but there was something different this time. He wasn't just trying to get under my skin. He was trying to claim something that wasn't his. I shrugged it off because Emma didn't seem to pay him much attention, and I trusted her. That was my mistake. I don't think Liam ever stopped resenting me. Every achievement of mine felt like a spotlight on his failures. Every compliment I received was, in his mind, a reminder of what he didn't have. Looking back, I can see the warning signs now. The way Liam's jokes about Emma got a little too personal, the way he'd show up at our house unannounced with some flimsy excuse, the way he lingered just a little too long when saying goodbye. But I brushed it all aside, convincing myself that he wouldn't cross that line. He was my brother, after all. Blood is thicker than water, right? Except Liam never saw it that way. To him, I wasn't his brother. I was the benchmark he could never reach, the obstacle he could never overcome. And when he saw an opportunity to take something from me, he didn't hesitate. He didn't just betray me, he made it personal. He wanted me to see him win, to feel the sting of losing for once. That's why he smirked when I caught him in my bed. But Liam underestimated me. He always has. Not this time. This time, I'd make sure he understood exactly what it meant to lose everything.